Two awesome players going head to head on a very controversial map. We'll have to go through it in more detail in the post-game, but briefly, this map Oblivion replaced Jagannatha briefly in the GSL until it was booted out. It's got a design flaw that disadvantages the Zerg in PvZ. This is PvT, so we should be okay today. And as a very auspicious sign, our Terran players on the Terran side of the map on the north, and our Protoss players on the Protoss tile set to the south. MaxPax is opened with an econ pylon and he's already sent a probe racing north across the map. Normally you might say that's a scout, but this is MaxPax, so there's an even chance this is a proxy. And speaking of our Protoss player in the bottom left, he is of course a coffee brand from the 1970s. He is MaxPax!
Treat yourself like company. MaxPax makes great coffee a sure thing.
A sure thing is also that proxy pylon. Our Terran player in the top right is a young pro we like to watch every now and Clem! Anywho, if we get a gateway powered by that proxy pylon, we'll know we're in for a treat. It'll be the famous MaxPax build executed by none other than its creator. But scouted immediately by Clem, who's seen it before, he drops a bunker right in front of it. He doesn't actually have a Marine to put in it yet, but he will shortly. Oh, that is a terrific response. I've not seen that before. I'm so curious how this times out. A bunker takes 29 seconds, a gateway 46, but the gateway started earlier. First Marine is out and racing for that bunker. It's also going to take another 30 seconds to make the Zealot. Oh, MaxPax just cancels it. Oh, the treat is cancelled. Sorry, people. Clem has just spoiled everything. That is a party pooper bunker. MaxPax reclaims his money and makes himself a Nexus at his natural instead. Clem's got his factory underway and he's gonna get that probe for a first blood. Well, color me impressed. Another pretty cool opening for Clem. Meanwhile, MaxPax's core is finished. He's getting out an adept and he's starting Warpgate research. No tech choice. Clem's got an SCV performing a scout, so there's an opportunity for MaxPax to even up the score on worker kills. Yeah, he's not going to pass that up. So the map Oblivion has sightline blockers, so maybe the SCV can... No, it's not gonna. Not even I can infuse any drama in that. That is just a dead worker. And that is a destroyed pylon. And then the beauty of this is that Clem then salvages the bunker that he no longer needs. MaxPax is out 100 minerals for the pylon and 37 for the gateway cancel. Clem only 25 for the salvage. The Adept's looking to see if she can cause some mischief here, shade up and get the scout. But Clem is watching his depot doors and he gets the seal. And like all the other pros, he immediately lowers it, which I always think is incredibly risky. But at Clem's level of acuity, I guess they're always able to keep watching. There he is, he blocks it again. Meanwhile, MaxPax has his Twilight Council done for tech, and he's starting up a robo. And he's adding a shield battery into his wall. That's kind of different. Door test number 3, and Clem is on it. He's getting a Hellion out of his factory, and he's gonna fly his command center over to the natural. He built that on the high ground. That means it's later, but it's a lot safer if you think you're getting proxy. Which, until that bunker, he pretty much was. Yoga pose, land like command center, and looky, MaxPax is tech jumping into a dark shrine. No eBay for Clem. He's gonna have to hope to have scan energy saved up. Oh, but Clem might just hit first. He's got 7 Marines loaded into that medevac. And he's got a separate control group of Hellions ready. Oh, the 4th time is a charm. The Adept gets in. Oh, that's an error. Clem was focused on his drop. He's reacting now, but MaxPax might get some damage in. Hellions linking up with the medevac. Clem's gonna hit the Adept that's acting as a door guard. There's a shield battery there, though. Adept sneaks behind the mineral line. She's got 2 SCV kills. Meanwhile, there's a battery overcharge, so Clem uses his medevac to get around behind. 3 quick probe kills, followed by a boost to the main. There's a shield battery there, too, or this would be so much worse. So many players would just straight up die to this kind of drop. Clem is just bouncing back and forth between the 2 mineral lines. Really working that map layout to his advantage. 4 probe kills, and if nothing else, he's definitely got the scout on the Dark Shrine. This kind of drop play really feels like Beyond. constantly being where your opponent is not. Oh, MaxPax is focusing on the medevac now. Oh, he got it! That is excellent defensive instincts. Here I am praising Clem and MaxPax turns the tables. Clem's getting out a Raven. He saw that dark shrine. He does not have an eBay. And there's already a DT making his way up the map. Actually, he's coming up the ramp already. Raven's gonna spot it, and that DT is barely gonna get away with his life. At the same time, MaxPax also has a warp prism trying to get into the main. But there is a cyclone there to ward it off. Excellent defense. Both our players really on point right now. MaxPax trying to warp in more DTs with his warp prism, but Clem is on it. Protoss has to pick up and pull back. Meanwhile, Clem starts up that all-important stim upgrade. Oh, new plan for MaxPax. He's converting his DTs into Archons. And then he's brought up all his defenders. He's gonna cobble together a surprisingly potent offensive force here. Is he actually gonna try to bust up that ramp though? Clem's gonna come down to meet him. Raven's gonna drop the auto turrets. But the warp prism's dropping Archons. Double fat boys busting up the ramp, splashing everything in their way. They want that cyclone. Clem pulls his SCVs from the natural to help. It's forcing the Protoss back, but MaxPax snipes the Raven. Only one Archon left and Protoss is in full flight. The Cyclone lock-on has really been the difference maker. Viking and Cyclone are gonna hunt down that warp prism. They get it. And then MaxPax gets the Cyclone. Both players' armies are decimated. I love it. MaxPax did take a third base behind this, and it's about to finish. He's even teched at the same time. He's about to get a robotics bay, though he is just getting his forge now. Clem's just about done stim. He's getting combat shields, and his +1 attack is already researching. MaxPax is researching Blink, and he's getting himself an immortal. His observer's gonna spot that Clem's making widow mines. I'm actually disappointed Clem didn't spot that observer. He's usually so amazing at that. MaxPax is already saturating that third base. MaxPax has to be careful though that he doesn't get caught without an army. All of a sudden, Clem is a lot bigger than MaxPax. If he senses it, he could go for the attack. And given that his stim is about to complete along with combat shields, I think it's happening. MaxPax is looking to get out of Colossus and adding that Colossus range upgrade. That could help because these Marauders could really trash his Stalkers. Colossus is going to get out in time, but Blink will not be finished. MaxPax is going to add in that single DT. You gotta like how MaxPax has double ramps here. It sort of forces Clem into a kill box. Clem stims, which side is he going for? He goes for the Stalkers, they're the easy prey for the Marauders. But a battery overcharge is going to turn the tables. I'm really digging the shield battery setup for MaxPax here. He's actually got double battery overcharge available to him. Or he did until Clem blew the battery at his natural apart. Oh, critical pylon. He's unpowered his Robo and his Twilight and the Gateway. Oh, the Marauders are doing so much damage. They've killed 10 probes already. And now they're running amok in the main with 2 medevacs for an escape. MaxPax uses a Zealot to tank and then throws everything he has at them. What a game. They are dead even on workers. Neither party has much of an army. Clem has the bigger army, but he still doesn't have his third up yet. He's been getting harassed by that lone DT. He's gonna clean it up and get to work finishing that much needed third. Speaking of cleanup, MaxPax has repowered his natural, but it looks like there's one more Widow Mine sitting in the kill box that he hasn't dealt with. Clem's game sense might be telling him he still has the army advantage. He looks like he's putting another force together. But a bunch of tech is coming online for Protoss. MaxPax now has Blink and he's got the extended thermal lance. Clem is attacking again, but this time he's trying to sneak a Widow Mine around the backside. MaxPax retreats up his ramp. He's trying to buy time for that Zealot leg upgrade. Clem backs off and confirms that MaxPax does not have a fourth yet. MaxPax moves his force to his natural. He's trying to rebuild that shield battery there. Marauders are capable of soaking those Colossi hits. They're not the light type like Marines. But it's harder to do when there's 2 Colossi raking them over with those scorching rays. And look who's set up a proxy pylon to warp in more DTs to attack. There's no Nexus or Gateway here though, so that's the slow 11.4 second warp in. That's like an original Star Trek teleportation, not STNG. But the DT is looking to hit right as Clem is moving out with his army. That is sweet timing for MaxPax. He's even going to catch some SCVs trying to Maynard over to the third. You get a sky to the head. You get a sky to the head. Everybody gets a sky to the head. It's like Death Opera. Is there going to be a scan to finish that DT off? It got in the detection range of that missile turret, but now it is out. Clem decides to save his scan energy, but that means the DT is going to get away to fight another day. Clem never remade that Raven. Oh, disruptors for MaxPax. Oh, going Colossi and disruptors at the same time is really high level, guys. The list of players who can actually do this effectively is very small. It is very hard to control both at the same time, and that's usually why you see Protoss players choose one over the other. Oh, just like a certain cat, that DT did come back the very next day. This time, Clem actually expends the scan, and he snuffs out Death Opera. Death Opera. I have this sudden compelling need to make a new graphic. In the name of good taste, could somebody please explain to me why that is a very bad idea? Okay, so Clem remains ahead on army, and he's actually mining more now. But if MaxPax can actually work this high-tech army, he's looking pretty scary. And MaxPax is getting closer to getting caught up on upgrades. Clem's looking to attack again. This time he's bringing the Vikings he needs. MaxPax is going to try for a fourth. He's putting it on the low ground. Oh, what a loyal Marine. He just stands there taking shots to the head. That's not a battle you can win there, buddy. But he will make a nice crimson skid mark on MaxPax's front lawn. But Operation Vengeance is underway. Clem's going to visit MaxPax's kill box for the third time. Sniping that disruptor would be a good start. He does. But I just love that MaxPax has two different battery overcharges he can access. Oh, and MaxPax is finishing Shadow Strike for his Dark Templar. That means he's going to be able to blink outside of the Terran scans. That can be super annoying. Clem pulls back. He wants to let that overcharge time out if he can. He drops a scan to kill the DT that was warping in defensively. So slick. Meanwhile, 3 invisible talk show hosts are slipping into the Terran base. No, they are not. They realize this is not their time slot and they get out of there. Actually, I think MaxPax just saw that there was a missile turret. Look at that blink. So annoying. It's hard to imagine how long it took Shadow Strike to become part of the meta. Nobody was using it for so long. And then, of course, it's Zest that teaches all the Protoss its value. It makes me feel like other unused upgrades might have their day in the future. Cough, cough, microbial shroud. Cough, cough. Oh, these DTs are going to have a real opportunity to shut down this fourth here. Clem's going to try to convert that into a fortress. If he can kill it now, that would be very valuable. But Clem is on it. He doesn't want to lose that base. Shadow Strike for the escape. Oh, but Clem is determined. He stims and then double scans. Only one Death Opera gets out alive. And Clem finds and takes down the proxy pylon. Having saved his own fourth base, Clem's going after MaxPax's. A quick stim takes down the photon and the shield battery. There's a lot of firepower here. I don't think this Nexus can be saved. It's a laser light show. Still the greatest show on Ire. Oh, so sick. Clem EMPs a Dark Templar just so he can remove its detection and kill it. He doesn't have the radius upgrade for his Ghost either. He's literally shooting shadows. Oh, but MaxPax is really getting his disruptor count up now. He's got double robo pumping them out. Oh, Disruptor versus Widowmine. It's a victory for Team Disruptor. One Widowmine cannot kill an uninjured Disruptor, but the reverse is not true. MaxPax has a new proxy pylon up so he can keep sending those DTs in to harass Clem's mineral lines. Clem's got his +1/+1 upgrades. He's working on his +2s. MaxPax has his +2 attack, but is still working on his +1 armor. So for the moment, it's kinda even. MaxPax does the high ground walk over to Clem's fourth. It's a fortress now. Clem needs a hug. Where's the love? There's the hug. Clem's almost maxed. MaxPax decides he doesn't have the firepower to fend off the hug. He's pulling back. Clem's going at him with those Vikings. MaxPax is just microing those disruptor blasts. There's very little room for Clem to dodge. MaxPax is just firing those Nova Blasts off like a machine gun. But his Colossi are gone. Oh, the DTs have cleaned out Clem's third. He's lost 12 SCVs. His income has crashed. Clem is forcing MaxPax back, but the cost has been really high. The Dark Templar are disassembling that orbital. Clearly the Death Operas are unhappy with this week's special guest. Clem has pulled back to save his third. But the cost was high. MaxPax is now ahead on army and supply. What a great game though. Anytime you hit the 15-minute mark and the armies are this tiny, it usually means the players have been battering each other senseless. I mean, this is clearly not a Crimson Zone game, but it really kind of feels like it. It's a bit of a bloodbath. Clem's income is recovering, and he's about to get enhanced shockwaves for his ghosts. He just got a big EMP into those stalkers. They're hard to see visually, but they make a huge difference in the battle. That's just a ton of stalkers that have all lost their 80 hit point shields. The problem for Clem though is his army is a lot thinner than it's been in a while. Hiding behind the skirt of his planetary fortress is not a bad plan. The problem is if he stays back, Protoss can lob disruptor blasts at him. Clem's almost forced to charge the Protoss army. Big blink on the fortress. Need that hug, where is the love? There it is. Meanwhile, MaxPax keeps on hitting the Terran third. Oh, big disruptor hit. Oh, blackened lumps litter the battlefield after that one. I don't remember the last time I've seen such a disruptor-intensive Protoss army. He's making 2 more, it's like half his supply is in disruptors. Clem's recovered his third base, but he's got no workers there. Double disruptor, oh, both hits, a third shot. This is like rapid fire disruption. I thought automatic fire disruptors were banned. Clem's army's just taking a pummeling here. Clem stims to retaliate, kills the disruptor, and he's forced the Protoss away from his fort. But at some point, the Terran's not going to have enough army to hold off the stalkers. He doesn't. GG's. Well, that felt early and sudden, but he was in a spot. Let's talk about it. I got an agenda today, 3 items. First off, I want to explain to you all why the map Oblivion has gone to the Oblivion, and you won't be seeing it very much going forward, which is too bad, as I quite otherwise like it. I love the two-tone look of light and dark. I love the big band of high ground joining the opposing fourth bases like a highway that starts out less relevant at the start of the game, but becomes more and more crucial as the game lengthens. But there's a problem. If Protoss drops a pylon in the center of the ramp to the main, you can't get out. This really hurts Zerg in early game. You can block your opponent in and cannon up their natural. I'm going to try to remember to link the actual GSL Solar versus Parting game in case you want to watch the actual debacle. For those of you who don't know, this strategy is why we have buildable plates at the bottom of the ramps to begin with, to prevent those pylons from being made to block the Zerg in. Oblivion has a buildable plate on it, but the flaw is still there. It seems to be inherent in the actual tile set used to create the ramp itself, which, if so, means it's unfixable. Credit Parting who discovered this flaw. Smart dude. He quietly sat on it and selected the map for a game in the GSL against Solar. He then quickly took what was essentially a free win. Solar took to Twitter to blame the map maker for costing him a pro game on a major stage. I'd be ticked too. I should quickly defend the music though. The dude has made some great maps, and I'm not sure whose job it is to find these flaws. But Solar didn't know about it. The GSL didn't know about it. It didn't come up in the Team Liquid map testing. Wardi didn't know about it. And as you can infer from this game, that MaxPax probably didn't know about it either. But that mad genius Parting did, and he quietly sat on it until he could use it to his advantage. Item 2. So one of my pet peeves is people who make these grand predictions, and then when they're horribly wrong, they act like they never made their prediction in the first place. You know that guy. I'm probably guilty of that myself a dozen times over. But not today. Today I will not be that guy. Those of you who have followed this channel well know that I've been a huge Clem booster for some time now, and I expressly predicted him to win the grand prize at DreamHack Fall. No question, I know I said great things about Cyril, but Clem was my pick. Spoiler alert, Clem did not win. Getting out of a strong group to make the quarterfinals ain't bad at all, but it's a far cry from the throne. Many of you out there tried to warn me. People have been pointing out that while Clem has a stellar TVZ, his TVP and TVT matchups are nowhere near as strong. I hear them, and I disagreed. I actually kind of still do. Statistically, they're not that far apart. But let's be real for a second. The real-time tournament evidence is against me. Clem dropped to parting, a Protoss player, as many, many others predicted. So there you have it. I just wanted to say I was wrong. I still love Clem. I still think his TVP game is underrated, even though you just joined me in watching him lose another one. I still predict great things for Clem. It's coming. And if you didn't see it, Clem took to Twitter to formally concede and congratulate parting. What a class act. One thing I think Clem could have done better in this game was to recognize what a death trap MaxPax had made out of the kill box in front of his bases. He had double battery overcharge set up and right at the top of the ramp. That was a really tough take, and Clem expended too much of his forces trying to win that way. Part of the credit really goes to MaxPax, though, who shrewdly and deliberately avoided expanding to his triangular third. That put pressure on Clem to go after the natural and lateral third, where MaxPax could set up the double battery overcharge with ramp advantage. Frankly, I'd love to watch that strategy play out some more, but with Oblivion gone, we'll never really learn the ins and outs of it. Just a cool footnote. Did you notice how parting isn't even in the game I just cast, yet somehow parting seems to be the driving force behind everything I mentioned in the post-game? Freaky. That's got to be a sign of a pretty important Starcraft 2 player. Okay, so now we get to the weird part, which is what happens when I say I'm going to make a graphic and then I actually go and do it. But can we all do me a solid and just pretend that I didn't spend all of last night trying to make this thing? But you know how sometimes something seems like a really good idea at the time and then later you realize, maybe not so much? Well, this is one of those times, so be prepared to be introduced to Death Oprah.
Shakul Enoch.
Who do I want to be in the world? Be excellent. People notice.
The darkness rides.
Yeah, I know, that's gonna be hard to unsee. Anyways, this is probably a really bad time for me to thank all the new subscribers. I do really appreciate you guys, despite the evidence to the contrary. I do have some really cool content planned for you guys coming up, so if you see that little versus circle, do click on it. But for now, let me just say from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.